This is Brian Castles for Lattice Semiconductor. In this video, we're going to go over the Lattice Diamond software design flow and go over the new capabilities that allow better what-if analysis in the Diamond design software. So let's open up a project. And we've opened the project, and in the process list, you can see that the design flow is very similar to what you had in ISP Lever. The primary difference is now, instead of having a build database step, there are two separate steps for synthesizing your design and for translating your design. These two together make up the old build database step that you had in ISP Lever. And then in addition, of course, you have map, place and route, and then you can export files such as Verilog or VCL simulation, and of course the bitstream file. So the process is very similar, and the steps are as you would expect. You can run a process, you can rerun a process if it's already run. Rerun all reruns you from the current step all the way back to the beginning of the processes. Stop, obviously, if the process is running, you want to stop it. Cleanup will take and basically clean up all the steps so that you have to run all the processes again. And refresh process just reloads the current state of the process list. Let's move to the file list, and this shows us elements in the project. As we've discussed in other videos, particularly in the key concepts, Diamond adds two new capabilities called implementations and strategies. So in this collapse view here, you see that there are three implementations in this design. Implementations are alternate structures of your project. So if you wanted to have, say, a version of your design that had inferred memory and a version that had instantiated memory, instead of in ISP Lever having to have two separate projects, you can now do them within a single project. One big advantage of this is that you can do what-if analysis, decide how you want to take and run your design. In addition, there are strategies, which basically are recipes for implementing your design, and each implementation has an active strategy, so it tells it how to implement that. And we can open this list, and you can see the various strategy options that you can take and set in here. And you can share strategies between implementations. There's one set of strategies shared inside of a project. You can also export these strategies, since they actually do exist as individual files, into different projects. So if you develop one strategy that works well in a project, you can reuse that again in another project. The key facet for doing what-if analysis in Diamond with implementations and strategies is running them together and then comparing the results. So let's take an example here. I've got this strategy, this implementation, which is set to strategy 1. We move to this other strategy. Now you can see that when this strategy is active, it's active, or this implementation is active, its strategy is strategy 2. So if I want to take and run these and compare results, I can take and utilize a tool called Run Manager. So let's open Run Manager here, and you can see that I've got 3 implementations, as you've seen over there, and they each have their own set strategy. So you can see the implementation names and the strategy names, and then the process of where they stand at. And I can take and run these. If I go over here and click Run, it will take and run any implementations that need to be run. If I hit Rerun, it will take and rerun them all. So let's hit Run, for example. And now you can see that the first 2 implementation strategy pairs have already finished. So it's not rerunning them, it's just running the final one. So you can see that the third one is running here. It shows you the date, time it's running, and then when they complete, you can see the unrouted and the level cost. So let's take and let this run to completion, and then I'll show you some other options of what you can do with the Run Manager. Okay, so the run's completed, and if I want to find out more information than what's listed here, I can just take and go to the file list, set the implementation as active, and then go to the report list and look at any information I want on that individual run. Another thing also on Run Manager, if I go over here and click the rerun button, that will take and rerun all 3 implementations now. It'll reset them from start by using the rerun. The other thing I'll point out is you see that I have 2 implementations running in parallel. This is because Run Manager can take advantage of the hardware that you run this on. So if you have a machine that has a multi-core processor, for example, this machine has 2 cores in it, it can take and run those 2 in parallel at full speed and take full advantage of that hardware. So that's what it's doing in this run here. So it'll run 2 and then finish and then run the last remaining one. If I had a machine that had 4 processor cores in it, they would all be 3 be running together in parallel. So I've let this run to completion. The one other aspect I wanted to point out for this kind of what-if analysis capability in Diamond is one other application of it. In general, what we've showed here are where I have different implementations, actual different structure of my design, and I want to compare them and see how they work. Another common usage of this capability is to take and have multiple implementations that are exactly the same and run them with different strategies to see what implementation options give me the best results. So how would I create an implementation that was exactly the same? A way to do that is to go to your file list and click on your project, and then I can say add new implementation. So I can give this a new implementation, let's say VHDL2. I can define a strategy to use for that. So let's say I want to optimize for timing. I can also do other ones. Now I can say add source, and notice that I can say add from an existing implementation. So let's say I wanted to copy the VHDL implementation. So this lets me add the source from an existing implementation, and I can choose to copy it or not to copy it. If I want it to be an exact copy and I want to keep them in sync, the different implementations in sync, the best thing to do would be to not copy that, and then it will reference the original source file. So if I change the source file in one implementation, it will be reflected in the others. If I thought I was going to do some divergence, then I wouldn't want to copy it. But in this case, let's not copy it, and then create an OK. And now you can see I've got another implementation here. And I can choose to set to make that the active one. And if I go to the process list, you'll see this has not been run yet because it's a new one. So that's another use for using the multiple implementation strategies in Diamond. Either compare different implementations and see what gives me the best results, or to have identical implementations but with different strategies assigned to them so I can run those in parallel and give the best results. So this has been a brief overview of how to use some of the new capabilities in the Lattice Diamond software. To look at some of the other capabilities in the software, please refer to the other videos that are available.